Abom ana SC board so KT Hammond na Kwabena Donkor lawyer wa fire back to OSP was say adie na lawyer na unprofessional. It's even offensive. Owi no catch Umaru Sanda question no go buza and say ya test a trip no go wale anya careful be see wo no be see journalist be kura onye mistake odo beka ho. But I don't know, and you see lawyers and politicians because they are cunning and smart. KT Hammond say when interview we do be some or cannot do the press conference and what I'll prove it to you. The standpoint of KT Hammond. Now the reason this is important is that KT Hammond is the lawyer for Dr Kwabena Donkor, who has been named as one of the 5 people who are persons of interest according to the OSP in this matter. Now, and then exclusive yesterday I couldn't do that. And we have that discussion. We take KT Hammond, no OSP, then we take it and see that all TA, and now we're starting to not pretend it's a and normal lawyer for this or machine and a ganser. Move Viamo. Intermestra so best subscriber, most subscriber no click the notification with the video be a tuma. Ubi who know it mashubuya. You will certainly have a comment. Feel free, leave that comment in the comment section. We are Michelle so because Goldberry Construction Limited, do that episode, wasas and krata some documentation related to your house in Goldberry. It be this age managing the amount. We are back on access any project you are embarking on. What started that? Who issues of trust and everything. You need a third eye, a third party to get in there and give you the pictures, the videos, confirm everything because we need her. What you be mas na this kana na de back on access. Ever track it. Edisa common na ediama kama. And now Ankonoma AKSA have a press conference on AKSA 2015 bribe allegations and any idea. And on a day kwa something be kwa Ghana ni obey to him dia kujina mrani mu US ya convicted they say the conviction aba ni aka sentencing no so obekuji you say sentence ma catch us with me sentence with me fiase to 30 years. So it tells you that these matters are somehow grave matters. Now OSP is speaking on the matter. He confirms so we adwuma pa on this matter. To 2 shades in Libya, but specifically on Dr Kwabena Donkor Mudino.
On 6 August 2026, a federal jury in Brooklyn, New York, convicted Asante Kwabena, a dual citizen of Ghana and the United States, and former managing director of Oil Refinery, and former executive director in the investment banking division of the US-based Goldman Sachs Group, of conspiring to pay more than $1 million in bribes between 2014 and 2015 to multiple Ghanaian officials in connection with the development and financing of a 370 megawatt fuel oil plant in Tema, Ghana, under a deal between the Republic of Ghana and AKSA Energy Üretim, a Turkish energy company and a Goldman Sachs client. The OSP provided investigation and evidentiary assistance to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, of the United States through Ghana's established mutual legal assistance framework. The involvement of the OSP has been acknowledged by the United States Department of Justice, DOJ, as providing significant assistance to the prosecution. Even with this, people say, we claim it is always the OSP. The conviction underscores the importance of international cooperation in the investigation and prosecution of complex corrupt acts spanning multiple jurisdictions. Predictably, the outcome of the trial of Bekun in the United States ignited immense public interest and discourse on the domestic dimension of the investigation in Ghana. We wish to state clearly that the OSP's work on the matter did not end with the assistance provided to the authorities in the United States. We have been actively and carefully investigating the Ghanaian dimension. I say carefully because it must always be borne in mind that a conviction of a person in a foreign jurisdiction does not, of itself and without more, establish criminal liability under Ghanaian law or justify the immediate prosecution of other persons in Ghana connected with the underlying conduct. Each person's act must be assessed under Ghanaian law, using lawfully obtained evidence capable of supporting the prosecution here. The nature of the evidence and the applicable law determine whether prosecution should be commenced in Ghana or otherwise. That is to say, the conviction of Asante Kwabena in the United States does not provide automatic basis for the prosecution of identified persons who acted with him under Ghanaian law. The circumstances of the case as such that the actions of Beku may not necessarily establish culpability in other persons under Ghanaian law. The OSP will not prosecute a person solely on the basis that a person's name appears in proceedings conducted in another country. Equally, the OSP will not hesitate to prosecute such persons where the evidence establishes a proper basis for so proceeding. As I stated earlier, we have been carefully investigating the Ghana dimension, and our public silence has not meant inaction. Our involvement with the case and the evidence so far enable us to identify the following as the main persons of interest in this case. 1. Kwabena Donkor, who was at all times the Minister of Power. 2. Francis Walkson Kwesi Jata, at all times the technical advisor to the Minister of Power. 3. Solomon Ajete Sowa, at all times a deputy director at the Ministry of Power. Lyndon George Nisor Metal, at all times a director at Tricop Group Limited. And Bafo Ankuma Brobe, at all times an employee at Tricop Group Limited. These are our main persons of interest for the time being. Other persons of interest include some present and former employees of Volta River Authority, Ghana Great Company Limited, Electricity Company of Ghana, Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, and some staff of the entity formerly known as the Ministry of Power. Please bear in mind, and this point should be strongly emphasized, that the person of interest is not necessarily a suspect. The two categories, person of interest and suspect, are distinct investigative classifications and should not be treated as interchangeable. Then again, identification in either category does not constitute criminal culpability or conviction until guilt is proved beyond reasonable doubt to the satisfaction of a court of competent jurisdiction. So, we should be circumspect as to how we report this announcement and how we treat the named persons of interest.
Yes. So if you listen to this, I find it strange how any lawyer will have an issue with the OSP, because the OSP even went further to explain the difference between persons of interest, accused persons, and all that. I even thought that he was even trying to make it seem as if, say, let's not have expectations. Let's not have expectation of Kwachiwo bulldozer stabbing there, because he himself also explained that idea between US necessarily. It doesn't mean that the people he conversed with or had a certain engagement with in Ghana will also go to jail necessarily because he has gone to jail in the US or he will be going to jail in the US. Now, no Umaru Sanda free KT Hammond, as usual, is a firework interview TV.
Honorable KT Hammond, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Can you increase the decibels a bit? I can't hear properly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I will be better, yeah.
Great, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm fine.
The special prosecutor is coming after your client, finally. He says your client is a person of interest. You issued a statement when these matters came up, and you said your client was not involved in any way. What do you make of this decision by the SP?
I haven't heard his exact words, but I would expect you to use his exact words. He couldn't, under any circumstance, state that he's coming after my client. Is that your expression, or that's what
my expression? What he said is that
your expression.
Yes, but what he said is that your client is a person of interest. So I think let's stick to the proper phraseology. He said your client is a person of interest.
Does he explain why he's a person of interest?
Well, he has given some explanation and named 4 other people to join your client as persons of interest, but he said that it does not mean your client is a suspect as yet.
Well, I haven't spoken to my client yet. I'm not too sure whether he himself has heard anything said about him. But for the purpose of this conversation, can I just put it on record that, as we've always maintained, we don't have any difficulty if anybody wants to investigate any matter. What I deprecate is this habit of announcements on the radios and the phones and the press conferences. It's completely unprofessional. I mean, there's an issue for which an investigative officer or office in the country wants to take up. I mean, by all means, yes. But what is this habit of radio discussion press conferences? I, the lawyer, haven't been contacted. I'm not sure my client has been contacted, because if he has, he obviously will speak to me. I have no information about anything. And then he goes on a press conference and announces that this person is a person of interest. What kind of professional life is that?
Maybe because the matter borders on public interest, so the public would want to know, and that's why he's doing that.
Yeah, the public would no. I mean, the person of first interest is my client, and I would expect that he expects some protection. That protection is afforded by the law, by the Constitution. Is afforded to he himself. I do not understand that the public interest, we keep saying that the public would be interested in all matters, but still all matters that are of public interest. I mean, yes, invite my client. He would tell me, we will make ourselves available for you. Then find out about whatever it is that we know about it. I do not understand that it's professional for this matter to be announced on by press conferences and events of that nature. I don't believe it's professional. But as I said, if he's made that announcement and he says that he's of interest, but I think he also said that he makes the point quite rightly and properly, that the fact that he has been convicted somewhere does not mean by any account that anybody is implicated. I accept that. I just find it offensive, this medium of communication.
Okay. There appears to be a conflict, though, between the institution that should lead this particular matter. The Deputy Attorney General, on behalf of the Attorney General's Department, believes that the Economic and Organized Crimes Office should be the one that should be focusing on this matter. The OSP thinks otherwise and says they have been doing collaboration with the U.S. institutions and they are the ones to proceed. As a lawyer, is it as confusing to you as it is confusing in the narrations we are hearing?
It has been extremely unhelpful. This situation has been very unhelpful. Maybe it's also a reflection on ourselves. I mean, those of us in the parliament who enacted this legislation. From day one, some of us thought it was going to be, it was going to lead to some clear confusion. The Supreme Court has done its best to sort this matter out in the recent matter. They come up with a ruling. His Lordship Kolindi and His Lordship Chief Justice Abafubone, they've done their best. Clearly explained what the law should be. But there we are. I don't speak a lot of gang, but what they say is how can the two institutions of this standard in the country be battling it between themselves like this? I don't know. The Supreme Court has made it very clear that the authorities still sit with the Attorney General, who then gives a kind of license to the Office of the Special Prosecutor to take up certain matters. So I am really not too sure, and it's not healthy for the jurisprudence of the country for this tussle to be between the two of them. I would have thought that the Attorney General who grants the authority says, well, we want to do this ABCD, the obedient servant of the Special Prosecutor should come serve the authority of the Attorney General. I'm not too sure what is at stake, what on earth is going on, and why consistently this become a controversy. And here we are.
Very well. Thank you. Before you go, how is your client doing? And you yourself, you've been named by some media houses as having traveled to...
Don't complete the sentence. I'll sue you. Don't complete the sentence. I have already prepared a writ for Larry Dogbe, who has been championing this crazy stuff. I'm suing him. Don't complete that sentence and get yourself into...
but I was using it as a background to ask you the question.
Don't use me as background to anything. What is it that you want to say?
I just wanted to ask how far with the allegation that you traveled to...
Be careful what you're going to say. Be careful. My younger nephew, be careful. Watch your mouth. your little mouth. Be careful.
Oh, KT, you are threatening me.
Well, yes, it is threatening, not physical, but legal threat. Yes, of course, I'm happy to issue the threat. You go 1 second past the dark line, I will let you get into the red line. I'll sue you.
But as a journalist, can't I ask you a question to clarify a
No,
information?
you can't answer. I have consistently said I don't know anything about this matter. Letters have gone out to all the media houses publicly. Everybody's aware. And if somebody's tried to cross the line, I'm suing him. You are aware. So I would have thought that you let it lie. Let's wait for the legal proceedings. If you try to double it, make any allegation and slip, I'll sue you. So let's concentrate on what is on the table.
I do not want a suit, so I'll leave it here. Thank you so much.
So you leave it here.
Yes. One, KT at the beginning of the interview clearly was posing as if on say press him. But later, he himself admitted that the OSP said that it doesn't mean they are accused persons. And Umaru Sanda didn't say that at the beginning of the interview. So how did KT Hammond know that? I mean, he watched the press conference. That's the first observation I made. The second observation I make is that it seems as a Ghana about corruption, that's a funny serious. So as you feel say a BBB keke. Honestly, candidly, OSP may not be one of my favorite people. I have my issues with him, how he handles some of the kind of matters and all that. I mean, it's public. But on this matter, I struggle to see where the OSP acted unprofessionally. I even thought he spoke as the teacher he is, trying to educate the public about why a person of interest must not be viewed in a certain way and all that. And you see, the reason why yesterday I applauded the OSP is that it's because of the reactions of the people around the thing. As a BB, you see, let's not get there. This country has suffered a lot when it comes to corruption. You know, recently I was reading an article about how much Ghana loses to corruption. I think it was a study by the University of Ghana. Billions of cedis. So it is not nothing. And there are persons of interest. Now, always we didn't know about, and for the first time, for nothing at all, we know names. Dr Kwabena Donkor, former power minister. Francis Watson, Kwesi Jata. No, yet technical advisor. Oh, I know more 250 times be discussion about technical advisor. At least we know a name now. Obo Solomon Ajeteso, a former deputy director, Ministry of Power. London George Niso Metal, director, Trekop Group Limited. Bafo and Koma Brobe, employee, Trekop Group Limited. And Obo other agencies, VRA, Gridco, ECG, PURC, and Ministry of Power. So if these officials, you see, even for politicians, you can't change for now. These are civil servants, these are public servants, and they are doing this. So, and then they be a continue pass politicians. For nothing at all, we will know public. So, PURC, I mean, no, they say, omu dimayen. Omu so omu dimayen. Omu agree. Sign deals. Later, it be try a minute. So, what is wrong if an OSP decides to go after these people? I see nothing wrong. I don't see a professional issue. He didn't call him a thief. He didn't call him a criminal. All that he said is that they are people of interest and he's interested in them. And I agree with him that he must investigate and tell us the truth. It's a simple matter. On there, yeah, you can pretend you don't see it, but it's there. I mean, how you people pretend when they come to this thing, and I even beat the devil. But where we do, so far as we have evidence, we don't mind those things. There shouldn't be a haggle and a back and forth about who handles it. The OSP handles clearly. Now they even have to go for a fiat from the Attorney General. So meaning that the Attorney General must be in agreement before they prosecute. That they do politically exposed persons and politically exposed person, basically prosecution of that. They can still be, I do a kind of say, interagency investigation. Then we get to the finality of the matter. But so far, the American say, maybe view the OSP are there. KT Hammond is just doing the lawyers kind of stuff. There's also an interesting update on Kwabena Donkor cases. Any are there. Postponement. All the two lawyers are sick. Yes, and no person but the time. So that's also a brief update on that. But KT Hammond then anyway now, what do you make of everything that is happening. I feel that it's just the normal lawyer shenanigans. I don't know if you feel the same. Feel free. And what would you agree that the OSP should handle it or they should give it to you? That is also a bit contentious. You can also share the view in that or the back comment section, and certainly the team will see it. We are no more subscriber, no click the notification with the video be to my behu. No wait, me should be measure so much will see the amount me here or my Ghana and see here. Bye bye.